of my Black History Month lessons to learn from Black History Month. And so today we're going to focus on silence is a form of acceptance. It must be understood that the world is very loud and chaotic, and so many people are loud about what makes them feel comfortable, but are silent about what requires courage. And that's all about them being about posting about values, things that they celebrate, and progress about their progress. And they'll talk about inclusion. But when it comes to conflict, abuse, control, and accountability, they go quiet. That silence isn't neutral, it's a choice. It says that I see what's happening, but I don't want to risk speaking up, right? Or I value my comfort over someone else's dignity, right? I'm okay with what's continuing as long as it doesn't affect me. And this is actually a problem. This is a problem because if you're all about change, you're stuck in your comfort zone, so change will not occur. And this happens because you have to be willing to evaluate your science and decide that it's no longer acceptable for you to remain silent. So, for you to be able to stand up and speak up and not be acceptance through your science, you need to focus on asking yourself, where am I choosing to be silent over speaking up? What am I afraid of losing if I say something? And why am I protecting? Who and what am I protecting with my silence? And who am I harming? Because your silence protects the status quo. And that status quo protects systemic discrimination, inequity, and harm. And if you're not willing to shout about the things that require courage, you're not committed to change. You're only comfortable with how things are. And if you're not committed to change, then you're not a leader. You can only be a leader if you're willing to step up and not be fearful. Because silence is not courage. It is far from. Silence is fear. Silence is the willingness to be compliant. Compliance is not always about achieving an agenda or walking in step with what's right. Sometimes compliance aligns with what's wrong. A lot of times within society, it aligns with what is wrong to keep people in line and on the hamster wheel and not willing to speak up. Hence the science. Hence the silence, the acceptance, the fear of not being accepted, right? Courage takes a lot when you're willing to walk out of the line as everyone else moves forward. But sometimes you got to look forward and see, what are they walking towards? And what am I walking from? That's what that requires. It requires you being willing to not be the status quo, right? The status quo can focus on what people say is acceptable or what is required. So just because that's accepted doesn't mean it's right. So that means that in order for us to be true leaders, right, that means we have to look at, are we truly leading from what we truly feel is morally acceptable and required? Or is it you being a leader because you're aligning with everyone else? Sometimes being a leader means that you're willing to stand out, right? That's what a true leader is. Someone who's not willing to go along with the status quo. You see all these great thinkers and innovators and creators, they're not going along with the status quo. They're willing to speak up and not become complacent with silence. They're willing to look at forms of ways of creating change. And that starts with them reflecting within themselves, right? Not based off of what someone told you, but what you truly feel is morally acceptable or what is truly right based on the injustices that you may be witnessing. And that's where we step into our true greatness. When we're willing to speak up on our own. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me. Yes. It's all about you being willing to step up into your greatness and not being afraid to walk away from what others are willing to align with. You know, you got to understand where your alignments lie in this world. Are you aligning with the right side or the wrong side? Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've been doing these talks for the past 3 days. I plan to do this every day. I don't really have a set schedule, but I plan to speak about this every day and what we can learn about from Black History Month, what that's here to teach us. And this is not based on a race thing. This is a us thing as humans and what we can learn from the past. And today's topic is silence is a form of acceptance, and how we can step out of being silent and step into our greatness to create change within the world. And change starts with not being silent, because silence means we're aligning with the status quo, right? And if change is to occur, that means it can't be everything is status quo and the same, and no growth or no innovation is occurring, right? We have to move forward. And that means that we have to sometimes step out of our comfort zone. That means that we have to recognize that what we feel is comfortable isn't always safe, right? What we feel is comfortable sometimes is abusive and dangerous and harmful to us and others, right? And we don't really recognize it because we become complacent and walking in step with an alignment and in compliance with what the world says that we should be doing, or what the world says should be for one group or not another, or for just anyone. And this goes along. Oh, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. This goes along with oh, I'm Dr. Lisa. Sorry. I'm Dr. Lisa Marie Lee. But this goes along within the workplace as well, and how you can be a leader within the workplace. So it's not just within your life, but how you're in the workplace as well, because the workplace is one of the main places where we become silent, right? Because that's how we make our money. That's where we need to feel as though we belong, right? Oh, wow. All the way in Pakistan. I've never been to Pakistan. Closest I've been is Turkey. And that's not really that close, but not far. But yes, it's all about speaking up and not being fearful. And this is within any space that you're in. And this also allows for you to truly be a leader, because someone's watching you and they view that you're a leader, right? So if you're speaking up when things are needing to be said, then that means that others that are viewing you in a higher light will follow suit. So it's all about spreading peace, being courageous, and ensuring happiness for everyone, right? We have to ensure that we're not stifling other people for others to be great. That's not what humanity is about. And so the goal is to create safe, happy, and welcoming spaces everywhere we go, whether it's workplace, whether it's in society. So that's what it's all about. And I hope that everyone is looking at how they can speak up and not be silent, right? Because not being silent means that you're being courageous. And being courageous means that you're leading the change. So the overall goal is for you to be the change, right? It's something to think about. I hope that you guys find this talk today very enlightening and empowering and inspiring. And I hope that you're able to take from it, grow from it, and lead with it. I will be back on again tomorrow. And until then, love yourself and others. Bye.